Remember the mid-2000s? Remember the GameCube? Remember Kid Cuisine? Remember Superbad? Remember Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? Remember Hoodwinked? Of course I remember a movie with such amazing graphics.
What are you doing?
Hey, Chief.
This may look like a direct-to-video 1996 film, but it is actually a 2005 fiasco film that was a surprise hit at the box office, grossing $110 million on a budget of less than $8 million. Distributed by the Weinstein Company, EW, the movie, at the time, received mixed reviews for its ungodly animation and comparisons to Shrek, although it later received a cult following for its comedy and writing. I'm gonna see if they're right. So let's get a basket of goodies and go to Grandma's house to watch Hoodwinked. I genuinely could not think of a better transition when I was writing this script. Nah. The movie begins with a narrator telling the story of Little Red Riding Hood. The story starts off normally enough, with Red Riding Hood making it to Granny's house. They go over the beats of the story, but with a bit more comedy.
And Granny, what big eyes you have.
Are we just gonna sit around here and talk about how big I'm getting?
Suddenly, it's revealed that Granny is actually Clunk. And then, the real Granny pops out of the closet, and an ex-husband climbs into the house through the window as it cuts to black. The first thing you'll notice while watching Hoodwinked is the animation. It's bad. Textures are fugly, movements are fugly, designs are fugly, it's just not appealing to look at. The team, as I previously mentioned, didn't have the greatest budget, and it was animated overseas in the Philippines by people who weren't computer animation specialists. The police arrive at the scene, led by Chief Grizzly, Officer Stork, and Detective Nicky Flippers. Everyone at the scene is a suspect of the crime. Red, the Wolf, Granny, and the Woodsman.
4 suspects, and that means 4 stories. And if you get people talking long enough, someone will spill the beans.
Beans?
Can I just say that I love this concept? A police investigation movie, Velocimon hybrid themed after Little Red Riding Hood? That's a really creative concept here, and it's done to its full advantage, exploring each character's backgrounds and personalities. Let's tell her story first. Her day starts as any other, her making deliveries to her granny's goodie shop.
Here's a story I hope you'll like. It's the one about the girl riding on her bike. I know it's a tired old tale, but it still rings true.
This song is not the best. It's incredibly short, and up until the chorus, it's forgettable. Not to mention that Anne Hathaway did not sing this very well. No disrespect to this movie, but this song is not for me. Red meets up with Boingo, a bunny voiced by Andy Dick. Wow, this movie is filled with sex offenders, huh? Who explains that his boss, the Muffin Man, closed up shop because his recipes were all stolen last night, so now he's out of a job. In fact, Red notices that all of the animals in the woods are closing up their businesses because of stolen recipes. Red links Granny to ask her about the situation and suggests that they move the recipes up to the mountain, but Granny refuses because it's too dangerous. After Red vents to a woodpecker, she drops her magazine, which hilariously nearly kills a duck driving a car. Afterwards, she sees that Granny's shop window has been broken by a lock labeled, "You're next."
You're next? What does it mean, you're next?
Okay, I know you're a kid, but how can you be this stupid? I'm sorry. So Red goes up the mountain in a cable car with Boingo. The cable car door mysteriously opens, which causes Red to fall out deep into the woods and actually survive, despite Boingo trying to catch her. After getting her pixel taken by a squirrel, she meets the wolf. She asks her to see what's in her basket, but she refuses, and he angrily lolls at her. This causes her to run away, and the wolf catches up to her, but let little Holy Peppers play him. God damn, bitch! And then a bunch of bulls aid Red by getting her hood and using it to trick the wolf into walking off of a cliff and into the river. Afterwards, Red climbs up the mountain and stops off at a mining cabin run by a singing goat, J-Path, who is my favorite character in the movie. Not only is his voice amazing and his comedy great, but the fact that he sings everything is just cool. Red uses the old goat's phone to call Granny, who seems like she's in danger.
Gotta go, Munchkin.
Red asks the goat if he knows the way up the mountain, to which he breaks into song, and my favorite one in the movie.
But I got horns that open bottles, and I got horns that hold my keys. I got horns when you turn them right. Help me watch TV.
I love this song. It's funny, it's well composed and sung, and it's really catchy and fun to listen to. The goat pulls a level which stops the two of them down into a mine count that goes up the mountain. An avalanche appears out of nowhere, and then they fly into the sky. Lad sees a vision of Granny in the sky, and she references the funny space movie.
Granny? Use the hood, Red. Use the hood.
She uses her hood to float down to safety, while she makes it to Granny's house, and she recaps what happened at the start of the film.
That wolf was gonna eat us all.
And so, we get to hear the wolf side of the story. As it turns out, the wolf is a reporter, investigating the Goody Bandit cases, interviewing people all over the forest. He notices Red riding her bike, and he thinks that she looks pretty sus. They meet the score for Mario and Wolf's friend, Switchy, voiced by the director, Corey Edwards. After drinking cocaine and drinking coffee, I'm going to assume.
Burley, and I got the gear. I was watching the girl like you told me to, the girl in the red hood.
Yeah, the girl in the red hood. Did you see where she went?
She went past the porcupines and the redbird's tree and the guy with the long beard, and now she's up the creek and she sings everywhere she goes. She's like, la 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 la.
Speaking of voices, the voice acting in this movie is great. A lot of the actors give fitting performances to the characters, like Anthony Anderson, Joe Swanson, David Oregon Styles, Glenn Close, and Jim Belushi. Now, I'd like to bring up how there were originally more traditional voice actors in this, like Taylor Strong, but they were replaced by Harvey Weinstein because celebrity voices is restricted. Way to go, Harv. Another reason not to like you. So they go talk to this Italian-American sheep who tells them that she's off to her granny's house. So they meet up with Red, and as it turns out, the luring is because Wolf got his tail stuck in Twitchy's camera. And how did they catch up to Red? Why, they took the taxi, of course. Wolf gets tricked as we've seen before, and after this, Wolf and Twitchy meet Boingo, who tell them about a shortcut. As it turns out, this shortcut is a cave, which is super dangerous. The two reporters make it to a ladder and climb it, but they get into one of the mine carts for Mario. The mine cart rolls into a tunnel, and so Twitchy lights a candle, which is actually dynamite, in turn lighting a whole pile of it. And so, Wolf tosses it out of the car, blowing up the tracks, explaining the missing tracks for Mario, as Red and the goat zoom up behind them.
Did you hear something?
And so, Wolf and Twitchy make it to Grandma's house, while she's already tied up. Wolf disguises himself as Granny, which explains what he was doing in the opening of the film. And with the wolf out of the way, we can hear the woodsman story. The woodsman, Coke, is a bumbling, aspiring actor who was auditioning to be featured in a Bunyan Cream commercial, but he's not doing very well. After he doesn't land the call, the press Coke goes back to his day job, driving a schnitzel truck.
Rather.
This results in an amazingly catchy and funny German-style musical number with the most terrifying children I have ever seen in my life.
Schnitzel, the favorite treat for little girls and boys to eat.
No more spoons. Use your hands.
Says the friendly Schnitzel man.
But then, the schnitzel truck has been vandalized and the schnitzels have been stolen!
Schnitzel.
What the schnitzel?
Coke feels he's gonna lose his job despite being confronted by Boingo, but then he gets a call back by the director of the commercial, Gax. That's literally just Gax. And Coke gets to work chopping down trees. Coke manages to chop down a lot of trees until he manages to make it to one big tree, which he tries to cut down, hollowing it out. Coke is tired, but unluckily for him, the tree tips down, chasing him down the hill, causing him to jump into Granny's window.
So, you didn't jump through the window, you were pushed
Yes.
by a tree
Yes.
because you were pretending to be a woodsman
That's right.
to sell foot cream.
I got the call back.
Let's talk about perhaps the best aspect of Hoodwinked, the funny! Hoodwinked is very comedic. Despite being a comic fairy tale like Shrek, the movie tries to distance itself away from the Shrek style, being less cynical and pessimistic, and more wacky and enthusiastic, like the Muppets, SpongeBob, or Looney Tunes. I like how it didn't result to ha-ha, funny ha-ha, fuck, poop, humor like most shows and movies were doing at the time. A few of my favorite jokes include when Red points out how J-Pef spoke instead of singing, even though he supposedly only can sing.
And now I gotta sing everything I say.
Everything?
That's right.
You just talked! Just now!
Oh, did I? Did I?
This Gilligan cut.
Twitchy, you get lemons, you make lemonade. And then that lemonade goes bitter and ferments and turns to pig swell. Never trust a bunny with directions, Twitchy.
Sure thing, boss. Never trust a bunny.
Well, the right.
The police gets all this joke.
To get your boys down to Red's place, we'll need to head off that cable car and bring in a police sketch artist. No, make it a cartoonist.
How one of the animal inhabitants is literally a man in an animal costume and nobody talks about it. And the best part of the movie for me.
Red,
And why do they call you that?
why do they call you Flippers?
No reason.
And so, there's one story left. Granny's. Granny is a sweet old lady, all nice and kind, except for one little thing. This old lady is leading a double life.
It's true. I'm not like other grannies. I never did like the quilting bees and the bingo parlors. I'd rather live life to the extreme.
As it turns out, Granny is quite the extreme sports fanatic, and as he persuaded Led not to visit because he was in a skiing competition that day. However, they have a tough European team rivaling them, headed by a bootleg Arnold. The competition starts, but the European team is full of cheaters, knocking out the rest of Granny's team, although Granny can handle them easily by dodging their snowballs. Here, we get the second call from Led, explaining the problem Granny had earlier. When Granny gets called by the head of the team, Dolph, he reveals their motives.
All right. We were hired by the bandit.
He pushes her off a cliff, but Granny attaches a bungee cord as she falls, and she makes it back up. And then, things get even crazier as Granny throws a couple of grenades, expanding the avalanche for Mario. And then, Granny uses a parachute, drops the advice he gave earlier to Led, and then she drifts down into the chimney of her house. Finally, safety. Until the fucking ceiling fan catches her parachute, flinging her into the closet, explaining everything. Led is not thrilled to hear about this double life.
I'm being ridiculous. You're off living La Vida Loca, risking your life for some dumb thrills, and I'm supposed to stay home and be your happy little delivery girl?
A depressed Led walks out of the house without her signature HUD, which is set to a Bedford song. It's not awful or anything, but it's not as good as something like his work for Over the Heads. I don't know, maybe because I've seen Over the Heads more, but it's an okay song, I guess I like it. But then, the lesbians in the house are all stormed by a mysterious figure wearing Led's hood.
The recipes are gone.
As Led follows the figure to the cable car, Nikki Flippers comes to the final conclusion. It was Boingo! It was the bunny all along! And unlike most Disney twist villains, this one actually makes sense once you really think about it.
The only one who was with Red when she fell, who knew a shortcut to Granny's,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, I know a shortcut.
who fraternizes with evil ski teams, and someone who was there when the schnitzel truck was schnitzeled.
What a schnitzel!
Not the bunny!
I knew it. Never trust a bunny.
Never trust a bunny.
And so, Nikki, Grizzly, and Stork deploy their crew to find Boingo. Granny, Wolf, and Cork find out that the schnitzel truck has been turned into a tank by the Rifle ski team, who are Boingo's henchmen. Granny thinks that they are headed to an old cable car station at the top of the mountain, so Wolf gives Twitchy coffee so that he can go tell the cops that they're heading the wrong way. Meanwhile, as Twitchy zooms down the mountain, Led sneaks to the abandoned cable car station to see Boingo talking about his evil scheme and attacks him. However, he completely lacks her, and then he proceeds to explain his evil plan to her.
In song form.
I love this song. Despite being a villain song, it's so peppy and upbeat that not even the lyrics being part of an evil plan can stop it from being so happy and jolly.
And all of the bears will be ruled by the hair as I maniacally plot from my evil lair.
Said evil plot is to set a recipes, add an extra ingredient, boingonium, which makes the snack super addictive, and then the next phase is to destroy the woods by blowing it up, and create a commercial empire. And so, he falls right into a cable car filled with dynamite. Granny, Hulk, and the wolf see this, but before they can save her, they're caught by Dolph, and they beat him up. Hulk disguises himself as Dolph so he and Wolf, as a building inspector, can distract Boingo while Granny sneaks up above them. However, they get caught, and even though they take out Boingo's guards, he lights the fuse and sends the car hurtling down the mountain. Granny uses her extreme sports skills to climb down the cable car while on a baking tray. Finally, the police notice the car making its way down the mountain, and Led crawls out of an escape hatch as Granny lets Led grab her hood, getting her on top of the car. And just as the car is about to explode, Granny detaches it from the wire as it blows up.
Skip it up and down.
However, Boingo and his henchmen are hard on their heels. Luckily, Granny and Led use their parachute and hood respectively to float up to safety, sending Boingo and his crew in the back of a police van. After this, the crew is eating at a cafe, where we learn that Coke achieves his dream of singing with the happy yodelers, and Nicola recruits the crew into the happily ever after agency.
There's a lot of stories out there that need a happy ending. I'm part of a secret organization that makes sure that happens.
And they all live happily ever after. Except for the Weinstein Company, because even before Harvey was revealed to be a rapist, they made Hoodwinked 2, which was a fucking atrocity that rightfully bombed. Yeah, Hoodwinked is a surprising banger. I mean, the animation is absolute garbage and is pretty cliched, but it's funny, the concept is original, the way the scales are changed from the source material is creative, and some of the songs are pretty fun to listen to. Not to mention that it's pretty impressive what they accomplished with such a tight budget. Overall, I think it deserves a little cult following and obtained. I give Hoodwinked 8 goodies out of 10, whatever the fuck this thing is. Until next time, this is the Crazy Clola flying away.